Okay, so the last part of this lesson then is having a wee look at our conclusion to the experiment and kind of delving deeper into why that happened. So hopefully you have managed to kind of follow this along from the last video. Solid ionic compounds do not conduct electricity at all. Aqueous, remember that's dissolved in water, and molten, that's kind of like melted liquid ionic compounds, do conduct electricity. I want you to have a wee think about why that might be. Why might ionic compounds conduct electricity when dissolved in water and liquid, but not when solid? And it all comes back to what we said at the very start of the video about what an electric charge is. The charge has to be able to move. So you have a little class note here that I'd like you to copy down just for your notes and your jotter if you have one. If not, hopefully you're keeping these notes on pieces of paper, or even if you've got pictures on your phone or whatever, if you're really struggling for materials. But I'll quickly go through it. Ionic substances have ionic lattice structures which are held together by ionic bonds. Your definition for ionic lattice is a regular repeating structure and it's very strong. That explains why ionic compounds have very high melting and boiling points. Ionic compounds conduct electricity when in solution or molten because, and this is the key point here, the ions are free to move around. When they are dissolved in water or liquid, the lattice structure is broken, and that means the ions can move around as they please. Therefore, charge can move. They don't conduct when they're solid because the ions are stuck. They can't move at all. They're locked in the lattice, we say. Here is a little summary. When ionic substances are solids, the ions are locked in the lattice, kind of like a little jail I've tried to draw here, and can't move. So they don't conduct electricity when solid at all. When they are aqueous, the water splits up the lattice into their ions, and these can move around so they can carry charge with them. When it's molten, it's the same kind of story. When you melt, you get the temperature really up high and you melt an ionic lattice, the ionic bonds break, so the ions again are free to move. And that is the key piece of information we're learning here. In aqueous and molten situations, the ions are free to move, so they are free to carry the charge of electricity. When they are solid, however, they are locked and can't move. So, lesson 6 then has been properties of ionic substances. We have kind of conducted some little theoretical experiments, and hopefully they've helped you kind of understand why the ionic substances conduct only when liquid and aqueous. What we're going to start to learn is, as we delve further into covalent substances in the next video, how we can use these to tell somebody what type of bonding is present in a substance by its properties. You are going to have a Google Forms quiz on what you've just learned. Thank you for listening.